Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all the brilliant minds joining us today on Hack LiveTV, a flagship series by Hack for Bihar, proudly powered by Starseek, India's fastest growing innovation community. I am Dhruv Pandey, and I'll be your host for episode 4 of Hack LiveTV. Today's episode is all about demystifying tech stacks. What are they? Why do they matter? And how do you choose the right stack for your hackathon project? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Our speaker today is Mr. Sajal Batra, a highly knowledgeable person in the field of tech, an educator at heart. He is the founder of NullSphere Labs and winner of Smart India Hackathon 2024. He has been a part of several hackathons as a past winner, organizer, and a mentor. Today, he will be guiding us on what all to keep in mind when choosing the right stack for your project. Welcome to the episode, sir. Over to you.
Hello, guys. So Sajal this side, and in today's the live, we will be talking all about the tech stack, what you need to choose, and what you can build, and some bonus points. So I will be taking over from here. So let me share my screen. Hmm. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Sajal, yeah.
Okay, okay. So like today we will be talking about tech stacks and what you can use for what. So a little bit. What's a tech stack? Everyone knows tech stack is all about the tools, frameworks, technologies that we use to build a software product. Like you must have seen everyone like they use React.js for the front end, Node.js for the back end, and database as a MongoDB, and they deploy it on Vercel. That's the basic tech stack everyone is using right now in the market. But I will be telling you more about it. What other languages you can use? What other things you can use? Okay, so let's start with the front end. So what's front end? Front end is a UI that a person sees, and it is the main thing that everyone sees. Okay, so how you can make it? First, another React.js. React is a component-based library, and it is widely used. You can use React.js to develop a front end, and if you are like JavaScript, you can easily make it in the React.js. Second one goes Next.js. Next.js is all about writing React, but with some other enhanced features. Like it provides server-side rendering, it provides file-based routing, it solves the waterfall problem. Then we have Vue.js. Vue.js is same as React.js but is lightweight and beginner friendly. Many companies are working with Vue.js and it is widely used in the market. And as compared to React.js, Vue.js is usually more widely in the industry, and React.js is usually used by the startups. And then we have a no code platforms. If you're a person जिसको code नहीं करना नहीं आता and you can only make your products by drag and drop, we have Webflow and Bubble in the market. So in this you can just use drag and drop to make your product and your front end will be ready. Now comes the backend. अब backend होता क्या है? Let's take example. You make a function in your programming language, like JavaScript, Java, C++. So you are making a function, and you can only access the function using your by calling it. But what if you expose that particular function over the internet, which means anyone with a particular route can ping on that particular function, and they can access it. So we use their backend to make the APIs. What is the API? API is application programming interface that we use to access our backend servers because the user cannot directly interact with the database. They need to use the API for that particular thing. So for this, we have Node.js, Firebase, Supabase, Django, and Spring Boot, C++, and many other things. So let's start with Node.js and Express. So they are the JavaScript runtime environment. Like Node.js क्या है? JavaScript runtime environment है. That is easy to use and simple for a person who's coming from the front end. Like you are making a front end with JavaScript, and now you want to also make the back end. Then you can use Express just for that particular thing. And it's easy to make. You can directly use Express just library. Then we have Firebase. Firebase क्या है? Firebase is a backend as a service, which means you directly don't need to make your own API as your own backend. Like you don't need to write everything. You can just use Firebase. From there, you can access the functions that Firebase provides, and using that, you can just call the functions from your front end and wow, your backend is done. You do not need to write anything. Then again, we have Superbase. Superbase is a Firebase alternative. It is open source, but it provides SQL over Firebase. In Firebase, we generally use NoSQL databases, but in Superbase, we use SQL databases. Then we have Django and Flask. So if you know Python, if you're a person जिसको Python आती है and you are not more into JavaScript, C++, Spring, Java, then you can work with Django and Flask. And if you know Java, then you can work with Spring Boot. If you know C++, there is a framework called Crow and Dragon. अगर आपको C++ आती है and you want to make your backend like highly concurrent and low latency and which works very fast. Like in the finance companies or the trading companies, we need to make our backend very fast so that they can give the response in a very less amount of time. So there we use C++ or Rust. So for the C++, you can use Dragon and Pro. These are two libraries that are used in the C++. You may not have heard about them, but yes, they are used in the market. Then we have databases. We have four types of databases, and the main two are NoSQL and SQL databases. NoSQL databases होते क्या हैं? जो डाटा को स्टोर करते हैं इन अ फॉर्म ऑफ कीज एंड वैल्यूज एंड वो डाटा स्टोर करते हैं इन फॉर्म डॉक्यूमेंट्स. अगर एक डॉक्यूमेंट बना लिया एंड उसके अंदर क्या किया, आपने डाटा को स्टोर कर लिया विदाउट एनी प्रॉपर स्कीमा, तो दैट्स अ MongoDB. And agar if you are making storing your data in a form of rows and columns and in a proper table format, then we have Postgres in the market. And if you want to store some images and you want to send some push notifications, then we have Firebase Firestore. That is a NoSQL DB and you can store your block data in that. And again, we have Superbase DB that is used for the Postgres. So these are generally used in the market, but I would recommend if you're a fresher, go with MongoDB. If you want to make your database properly structured in a table format, then go with Postgres or SQL. Then comes the point, hosting and DevOps. You have made your backend, you have made your front end, but now you want to deploy it. How you can deploy it? Firstly, we have Vercel on Netlify. These are the tools that you can use to deploy your front end in the market. Vercel can easily deploy all types of front end, and same goes with Netflix or Netlify. They also provides you free domain. Let's say you can generally use Sajal.Vercel.app. That can be a domain that subdomain that Vercel gives. Same goes with Netlify. If you want to deploy a backend, then we have Render and Railway in the market. In the Render, you can deploy your whole product, whether it's a front end or a back end. But there's a problem with Render. It provides cold loading, which means if you have not received a request to your backend about 30 seconds, then your backend will go down. And if a request comes, then again Render will start your backend, and then it will serve your request. Then we have GitHub Actions and Firebase hosting. If you have your products that is static and you have your apps, then you can use Firebase to host your product. If you want to automate your deployment, which means you have pushed something to your GitHub and you want कि वो automatically deploy हो जाए जहाँ पे भी हमारा code base run कर रहा है, let's say whether it's Vercel or your own virtual machine, तो वहाँ पे we use GitHub Actions. We write the workflows using YAML, and automatically when we push our code on a certain branch, it automatically get pulled in the virtual machine and it deploys. Yes, you can use some testing and checkings to test your front end and check whether the it is running properly or we have built it quite right. Now comes the point, picking the right tech stack for a hackathon. You are learning it for a hackathon. If you're a fresher, you need to choose the right tech stack for yourself. Okay. So सबसे पहले हमारा काम होता है कि परफेक्शन से ओवर स्पीड. तो हमको जो है वो स्पीड देखनी होती है प्रोडक्ट के अंदर आके, परफेक्शन। ये नहीं कि हम सारे सारे कंपोनेंट्स बना लें। तो इससे क्या होगा, अगर हम लोग एक बेसिक फ्रंट एंड बना रहे हैं तो उसमें ऐसा होता है 4 दिन लग जाए, 5 दिन लग जाए, बट हम जरूरी नहीं है कि हमको एक ही टाइम पर सारे सारे फीचर्स लेके आने हैं। वी नीड टू मेक श्योर कि हमारा फ्रंट एंड और बैक एंड इज अप एज ऑफ नाउ, एंड हम उसमें फीचर्स बाद में लेके आ सकते हैं। वी नीड टू मेक श्योर दैट दी आर बैक एंड इज गिविंग रिस्पॉन्स एट द राइट अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम, कि ये नहीं हो रहा कि इट इज टेकिंग अबाउट 2 to 3 seconds टू गिव अ रिस्पॉन्स। तो ऑब्वियसली वहां पे आपको बैक एंड विल बी वेरी स्लो, एंड यूजर लाइक होता है, यूजर को वेट करते रहना पड़ेगा कि भाई अब रिस्पॉन्स आएगा, अब रिस्पॉन्स आएगा, अब रिस्पॉन्स आएगा। तो हेयर इज अ टेक्निक, यू कैन यूज कैशिंग हियर। कैशिंग में क्या कर सकते हो आप, जो भी आपका डाटा फ्रीक्वेंटली कॉल्ड होता है फ्रॉम द फ्रंट एंड, तो उसको हम स्टोर करें कैशिंग के अंदर। एंड जब भी हमारा डाटा आएगा, पहले वो चेक होगा कैश स्टोरेज के अंदर पड़ा है या नहीं है। अगर डाटा कैश में पड़ा हुआ है तो इट विल बी सर्व फ्रॉम देयर। अदरवाइज डाटाबेस से आपका डाटा फेच होगा, इट विल बी शोड इनटू कैश एंड देन विल बी सर्व टू द यूजर। It's a process that is generally used by the companies, whether it's a small startup or a big companies. Caching is used everywhere. Then you need to use the tools that you know. In a hackathon, ऐसा नहीं करना कि uh, in 36 hours you are changing your tech stack every 2 or 3 hours. कि you came with the idea that I will be working with React, Express and MongoDB, but वहाँ जाके now you working with React and Django and again MongoDB, तो वहाँ पर टेक्सचर ने चेंज कर लिया, तो उससे क्या होगा, आपका टाइम जनरली वेस्ट हो रहा है। तो वी नीड टू मेक श्योर कि हम जो भी हमारे पास टाइम है उसको एफिशिएंटली यूज करें टू मेक आवर ओन प्रोडक्ट। देन कम्स द रिकमेंडेड टेक स्टैक। एज आई हैव वर्कड विद मेनी स्टार्टअप्स, आई हैव मेड माय ओन प्रोडक्ट्स। तो टेक स्टैक हम लोग जनरली यूज करते हैं फॉर द एमवीपीज इज जस्ट रिएक्ट और नेक्स्ट for the front end. We work with Express.js for the back end and MongoDB or Postgres for the database. But if you're a beginner, go with React, Express, and MongoDB. If you don't want key, you need to make separate Express server, then go with Next.js. It provides a full stack development. You can make your front end, back end in a same code base. You don't need to make different code bases for front end and back end. What are the common mistakes that people do? सो बेसिकली लोग क्या करते हैं, अपने प्रोडक्ट के अंदर ओवर इंजीनियरिंग करने लग जाते हैं। जो चीज उनको चाहिए ही नहीं होती हैं वो भी उसमें डालने लग जाते हैं। एंड उसमें जैसे कैशिंग लगा रहे हैं, पबसब मॉडल लगा रहे हैं, वेब सॉकेट्स लगा रहे हैं। यू हैव लिमिटेड अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम, उसमें जितना जरूरत है उतना ही करो, उससे ज्यादा ना करो। एंड लोग क्या करते हैं, डिप्लॉयमेंट को मिस कर देते हैं स्टार्टिंग में, एंड बोलते हैं एंड में जाकर जब हमारा पूरा प्रोडक्ट बन जाएगा तब हम डिप्लॉय करेंगे। इससे बेटर क्या है, डिप्लॉय इट आफ्टर सर्टेन अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम, ताकि आप में जो भी बिल्ड इश्यूज आ रहे हैं वो टाइम टू टाइम सॉल्व हो जाए। अगर आप एक पूरा प्रोडक्ट आपने बना लिया, अब आप बोलते हो कि मैं इसको अब डिप्लॉयमेंट में भेजूंगा, तो ऑब्वियसली एंड में जाके आपके पास एक लिस्ट ऑफ आ जाती है बग्स या एरर्स इन द डिप्लॉयमेंट। फिर आप उसको प्रोडक्शन में सॉल्व कर रहे होते सारे। अब देन आता है एडिंग ऑथ एंड डाटा। तो जो भी आपके पास सिंपल डाटा है एंड यूजर ऑथेंटिकेशन है उसको स्टार्टिंग में ही डाल दो, एंड उसको एंड तक मत रखो, क्योंकि मेनी थिंग्स आर डिपेंडेंट ऑन द यूजर ऑथेंटिकेशन। कि आप चाहते हो कि एक यूजर आ रहा है, अगर साइंड अप है तो उसकी चीजें दिखें, अगर साइंड अप नहीं है तो उसकी चीजें दिखें। तो अगर आप उसको एंड तक छोड़ देते हो, देन अगेन इट्स डिफिकल्ट फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड रीड द होल कोड अगेन एंड मेक चेंजेस टू इट। Then comes the point trying new tech during a hackathon without practice. I have organized many hackathons. I have mentored many hackathons. I have seen people who comes to a hackathon with the mind that they will be using React for React Next and whatever, and then in the hackathon they switches to a different tech stack. And वहाँ पे वो चीजें आती ही नहीं है, but they're trying it again and again. So that's not a particular thing. जो सोच के आए, जो तुमको आता है खाली उसी पे काम करो, वहां जाके नई चीज सीखने का कुछ फायदा नहीं है। डिसाइड यू आर अ फास्ट लर्नर और तुमको चीजें पता है एंड यू कैन लर्न क्वाइट फास्ट, देन यू कैन ट्राई आउट डिफरेंट थिंग्स, अदरवाइज मत सीखो नई चीजें। It's a wrap up. This was a basic tech stack and that I talked about, but I have some bonus things for you. हैकाथॉन्स में सिर्फ मर्न के एप्स नहीं जनरली जीतते हैं। यू नीड टू ऐड सम वेब3 और जनरेटिव एआई जो भी ट्रेंड कर रहा है मार्केट में। If you're making your own product, you can use generative AI in this. We have DeepSeek and Gemini API for free. Gemini का 2.5 फ्लैश मॉडल है, you can use that in your product. like chatbots add कर सकते हो. You can use to summarize your whole idea, और like होता है ना कहीं आपने कुछ डाटा शो कर रहे हो and there you can add कि here is summarized version of this, कि आप पूरा मत पढ़ो, खाली आप ये चीजें पढ़ लो. ट्राई टू यू वेब स्क्रैपिंग, जहाँ पे डाटा आपका जनरली खुद यूजर एंटर कर रहा है या फिर कर रहा है, तो देन वहाँ पे आप लोग वेब स्क्रैप डाटा लेके आ सकते हो कि हियर इज द डाटा दैट यूजर्स हैव एंटर्ड एंड हियर इज द डाटा दैट इज स्क्रैप्ड फॉर द इंटरनेट. तो वहाँ पे आपका फीचर और एनहांस होगा, एक ट्रस्ट बिल्ड होगा, एंड कोई भी यूजर खाली हाथ नहीं जाएगा. किसी को वो डाटा देखना था, वो डाटा आपके पास नहीं है, देन देयर यू कैन यूज web scraping. Then comes the point Web3. So try to make the products in Web3. Web3 is a very growing market. Obviously, its graph is not stable enough, but for the hackathon is a very good market. People are winning many bounties in the Web3. Then comes the point of IoT. In hackathons, many people are building products in IoT. So IoT में क्या होता है ना, that's visually appealing. आप डेवलपमेंट जितना कर लो, but IoT products requires more brain, more knowledge than a person for the development, क्योंकि डेवलपमेंट हर कोई कर लेता है बट IoT बहुत कम लोग करते हैं. लाइक यू कैन यूज ड्रोन्स, यू कैन यूज स्वार्म रोबोटिक्स हेयर, तो वो चीज ज्यादा बेनिफिट करती है, ज्यादा जीतती है. So that was it from my side about all the tech stack that I could cover. I gave you some bonus things. If anyone have any doubt, you can ask from me.
Okay, I don't think anyone has a lot of questions to ask. So, thank you, sir, for your insightful knowledge about tech stacks. I'm sure our viewers would have gained a lot from this session, and it would help them immensely in their next project. This brings us to the end of this episode. Goodbye, and stay tuned for more such episodes.
If you कोई भी doubt हो, you can connect with me on my social medias. You can share your ideas. You can share your tech stack. I am here to help you guys. See you. Good night.